All right, welcome back to the best damn training channel on YouTube. Today is Monday. Obviously, we're here at the track and I'm starting off with the standing triple jump. I'm also an idiot and I did my first 2 repetitions here without filming it because I forgot to turn the camera on. But we're doing 2 to 4 hard repetitions, so I got about 2 reps left in me. First one was a 910, second one was an 890. It was a shitty rep pretty much. But what I've done here is I've set up the cones so you guys can have a visual representation of what this looks like. Try to make it a little bit more appealing because I realize sometimes doing the jumps and doing some of the sprint work at the track, it's hard to really understand what's going on. So each cone represents 1 meter. We're trying to get out towards 9+ meters on the next 2 repetitions here. But this way you guys can kind of see like where that first jump is to the second jump to the third jump and make it a little bit more easy to understand, like, oh, okay, he first jumps about 2.5 meters and then maybe it's 3 meters and then maybe it's 3 meters or whatever it might be. But just to try to help you guys see something a little bit more easy here on the track. But like I said, first rep was a 910, felt really good. Second rep went backwards, was at 890. I was a little bit flat on that one. So we're gonna try to get back out to 9+. But I gave myself a range of 2 to 4 repetitions here. So I got at least 1 more in me, but I feel like I'm gonna end up doing 2 anyways. Ooh, 930. That's the best we've done since starting the standing triple jump. 920 was my previous PR. 930 is now my new PR. You guys just witnessed it. Good thing I turned the camera on this time. All right, I got 1 more in me. Now that we hit 930, I gotta go for 1 more. So take a couple minutes here, let the legs recover, and then we'll send it again. Oh, 915 on that one. All right, so again, complex today is we got 2 reps of 20 meters with 30 kilos on the sled. Then we're gonna follow that up with 2 reps of 30 meters with 10 kilos on the sled. And then we're gonna follow that up with 1 40-meter sprint with no resistance on that. And we're gonna do probably 2 rounds of that because I don't wanna blow my legs up too much because we still have a lot of plyos and jumps that we're gonna focus on for today's session as well. But what I think I might do is put those cones back up and get some times on that 20 to 30 and compare that to what the difference was from the fly float flies, and maybe that gives me a little bit more insight on that fly float fly if I want to keep it at the 10-10-10 or change it up this week for the max velocity or the acceleration plus type session that I'm going to do. So I'll probably set the cones up at that 20 to 30 mark and get a 10-meter time once we get to the point where we're doing the unresisted acceleration. But first, we're going to strap on the sled and we're going to do a couple 20s here with 30 kilos. So 30 kilos is roughly 30% body weight. I actually weighed in this morning and I weighed 97.8 kilos. I don't know what that is exactly in pounds, but I know it's right around that 215 mark. So I'm sitting pretty close to where I want to be. I thought like high 97, low 98s is where I would kind of be towards the end of this session or towards the end of this program. So we're sitting right where we need to be here. But we got a couple 20s I'm going to do. First rep is always the hardest. I feel like the first rep was kind of like knocking the rust off a little bit because I'm warm, my legs feel good. I just haven't done a sprint yet. The first one always feels like trash a little bit. Honestly, that didn't feel as trash as I thought it was going to be. So the rest in between these should just be rest as needed so you can do each one of these reps hard. So it might be 2 minutes, might be 3 minutes, but don't just turn around and rep it out again. Rest as you need, get ready, high efforts on each of these sprints. Man, that old dude, I don't know his name, but I've been running this track for about 5 years. I've seen him every morning. He always walks by. He's like, just salutes me and just says, good morning, like, or good day, essentially in Icelandic. Every morning, just a little salute, good day, that's it. Another thing that's funny is this whole facility, this indoor soccer field, this track lane here is connected to kind of the main office building, which is where one of the clubs is located. So this club has a soccer team, they have a basketball team, handball, all that kind of stuff. I found out through a friend that all the old people that walk in here, they also go into that office, they have coffee in the morning, they kind of chill out. They've nicknamed me Captain America because I'm American and they don't know English very well, so there's no communication between us. Sometimes they're asking me like, oh, is anybody in the track? They just go, yeah, Captain America's in there running around like he always is. I thought that was pretty funny that these old people have a nickname for me. But we're gonna get into rep number 2 here. Rep number 1 felt really good actually, so I feel like today's gonna be a solid day. We're gonna do some 30s here. So I got 10 kilos on the sled, roughly 10-ish% body weight. We'll do a couple 30s. The 30s are exhausting, so we'll probably rest about 3 minutes between that. If we need to, maybe 4. We'll do another 30. And then set the timing eyes up. We'll run a 40, but we'll measure from 20 to 30 and compare those to what we did last week. All right, I got the cone set up. I'll get the time here on my phone. I've got the 20 to 30 fly zone, but we're gonna be running here to 40. I know the angle of this isn't probably the best angle, but we're gonna do one of these. We'll get that time on that flying 10 zone, see what that is compared to last week. I think last week's fastest was a 101, maybe it was 102, I don't know. Whatever it was, I remember I didn't hit the 99 like I had wanted. So I want to see what this is like when, compared to that fly float fly that I was doing versus just doing a straight on sprint. So we got the cones in the same spot and we'll be able to compare those two, and I'll make a judgment call on if I want to change up this week's acceleration plus type session today. I feel like I want to pop the top because I want to be fast. Shirts slow you down. You know what? I'm gonna pop the top. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. That's interesting. Exact same time that I got last week on that fly float fly. So what that means to me is the way that I have my fly float fly set up is allowing me to hit similar intensities as if I were just to be doing straight on sprints. So I'm hitting the velocities in the same zones, even though the intent is a little bit different. So I'll probably keep that fly float fly, because what that fly float fly will allow me to do in comparison to just doing like a straight full blown 30 is that float zone can bring the intensity down of the entire rep and make it feel a little bit easier. So I might be able to get more volume in at that higher velocity than if I were to do just straight sprints. So if I was just going to be going as hard as I can, multiple reps at 30 meters, that could essentially be more fatiguing than doing a fly float fly at the same distance, because that float is going to allow for that throttle to come down a little bit, and then you can punch it and might be able to keep the fatigue down a little bit, to where even if it's just 1 extra quality rep, maybe 2, that's a lot of volume still when you're looking at sprints, when you can get an extra 60 meters of quality work in versus doing 1 to 2 hard reps at that same distance. So I'm going to keep that in on Thursday, the fly float flies, and we'll try to hit that 99 with that fly float fly zone. But I think I'm going to rest here for about 4 to 5 minutes, try to get to full recovery in between this, and then we'll send it. We'll do 1 more set of that. I don't think I got 3 in me today. We'll do 2 quality sets, and then we'll end with the plyos for today's session. So a few minute break here, throw 30 kilos back on the sled, and we'll get after it. All right, we got last sprint of the day up. Running a 40 meter cone is right there. 30, 20, 10. We got the fly zone, 20 to 30. We're gonna fucking send it, and we're gonna be faster than a 101. We're doing this for the boys. 0.99 or bust. No, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. There was 0.99. Dude, I was so pumped to see that. That was something that I really wanted to get today, was the 0.99 on that flying 10. A 0.99 at 20 to 30 is pretty freaking fast. You know what? A 0.99 on a 20 to a 30 is very fast. I'm very, very happy with that number. So happy with it that I'm actually going to cut the rest of today's training. I'm going to do the plyos and stuff that I had planned for the end of this session as the beginning of my session tomorrow before I get into my weightlifting. I'm feeling pretty tired. Legs are pretty blown up right now. I was really pushing it hard for that 0.99. And I don't know if there's going to be much quality coming out of any of the jumps that I would be doing right now. Today was a damn good session. And I think tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun too, with moving those plyos prior to doing any of my weightlifting work. But man, but as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.